Wow. I really wasn't. I wasn't sure if I was going to actually get on the line, so I was just patiently listening. Actually.
Oh, you made it! Yay! What would you like to talk about?
Well, I'll try to keep it kind of concise. I guess I would say. I want to talk about morality.
Okay.
And how I think that morality is basically just a human concept, and and atheists have just as many blind spots as theists in regards to morality.
Can you give me some examples? I'm not exactly picking up here.
Well, I believe what seems to happen when people are becoming atheists, no matter what religion they come from, they kind of go through a process of being overly optimistic in regards to if the overall world structure would be more suited to morality being taken over by a secular viewpoint and structured in a way that would be more fair to humans, where as long as people are not being harmed, type of structure. Yeah, and I think that is pretty much just as delusional as the current theist concepts about morality.
Why?
Based on what I see in regards to how people actually act in present day.
What
and in the
can
past.
you give me an example? If you're going to point to an atheist acting immorally, then we could, I guess, create a tally of how many Christians and how many atheists do immoral things, but that's not going to get us there. I think in concept we can argue it. Are there any parts of that concept that you think are diluted?
Well, just in how people interact with each other currently. I can give a couple of examples, whether present day or in the past. I'm kind of trying to choose one I think would be
no worries.
Kind of.
While you choose, I'll
relevant.
actually tell you kind of the scale that I'm thinking of is the concept. So, have you heard of the veil of ignorance?
No.
Okay. The veil of ignorance is this idea, if you're creating a society from scratch, if you were sitting down, you're like, cool, I'm going to create this entire society. I get to put together its laws and systems of behavior and things like that. How can you be absolutely sure that you are creating the most moral and fair system possible? Right? It goes back to if you have kids and they want, have one kid slice the cake and then the other kid choose which slice they get to take. That kid is going to be incredibly careful to make sure they slice it right down the middle so they get just as much because they don't know. And when you're talking about the veil of ignorance, you're spreading that out over an entire society. Basically, what you're doing is you're saying, okay, I'm going to have to live in this society. What I'm going to do is remain ignorant of which person in that society I'm going to be. You don't know if you're going to be wealthy. You don't know if you're going to be poor. You don't know if you're going to, be the bottom class or the top class. If you're creating a society that way, it would be as fair as possible because you don't want to disadvantage yourself like that. What do you think of that concept?
Concept is flawed.
How so?
Because in order for a society to exist, there's never one central leader. And leadership is also passed down and splintered almost immediately, and also jealousy and also other emotions play a factor into other people's decisions to either act in accordance with society or to act to subvert it.
Okay, so
get what they want out of it. So that's another thing about morality. That's an issue too.
Yeah, people can be assholes. That's true. That doesn't mean that you weren't trying to create a fair society. It just means that people can be assholes. Can I ask you, do you think that our laws reflect our morality for the most part? I do.
It reflects individual. No, it doesn't reflect. The laws do not reflect. When you say "our," that means a group of people. So we were to take the United States, for example.
Sure, absolutely.
The laws that we have in the United States don't reflect our morality.
Are you talking about the vast majority, or are you talking about individuals? I want to make sure we're together on schedule. Okay, individual crap, we're not going to get everybody under the same flag no matter what it is.
Right.
So throw that out. That's a bullshit thing that's going to cause us to never get anywhere. You have to be able to talk about populations, right? So are we allowed to own other people's property in the United States?
Are we allowed to own other people's property? I would assume, well, it depends. But
it depends. Where can you own people as property in the United States?
I'm sorry. I misheard your question. Sorry.
Sure.
So you're saying where were we allowed to own people as property?
Yes.
Well,
I mean, it's just a yes or no. Are we allowed to own other people as property in the United States?
The 14th Amendment will probably say yes, but in regards to people entering into the jail system, they are pretty much owned as property, and we do use them for cheap or free labor for certain products that we do use in our society. So that's technically a yes.
That's actually a good point.
That is actually a really good point. I was going to go with slavery, but you're right. The way we treat prisoners. Actually, let's go with that. I view that as immoral. Do you?
No.
Then I think that's where we're probably going to have a hard line here. Yeah.
Well, this is the reason that I may not personally agree with it, but why I don't consider it as immoral is because morality is a sliding scale of comfortability. So if I'm not comfortable with it, but another person is, their morality is not subject to be called immoral, because morality is only is based on perspective. It's not based on, and perspective is broken down really by what you're personally comfortable with, your personal opinions and views being acted upon, ideas, basically. So, in a sense, really nothing can be called immoral, even though it may do harm to another person.
Yeah, I disagree with you.
Because it does happen. It happens in nature all the time.
Okay, hold on. You're adding a whole bunch of things in. That,
there's a lot to unpack.
Yeah. Do you have any you wanted to jump into?
My initial thought was that my initial understanding was that you believed that there was a morality, but that it was inaccessible to atheists and theists alike. But now it seems like you're saying it's inaccessible because it doesn't exist. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, it's a human concept, but it really doesn't exist. It's all subjective.
I mean, he's right.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, yeah, dude. If there were no humans, there would be no moral behavior, because moral behavior is something that we identify. But as long as we're agreeing on what we want to see, hold on a second. As long as because I'm going to lose it. As long as we're agreeing on what we want to see, then we can actually create a system, right? If we're wanting to base our society on human well-being, then we can take individual actions into account and go, okay, was this contributing to human well-being, or was that hurting human well-being? And as long as we can agree on a thing, right? I picked slavery because I thought that was going to be a gimme. And you're going to be like, yeah, no, we can't own people as property. I know Matt would hang up on you because he'd be like, you're an immoral asshole. I think that is immoral, and I think that is gross. And yeah, really, really gross. But is there anything that you and I can agree on as immoral?
But can I just jump in real quick?
Yeah.
Because how far do you take this? If it's only a human concept, then it's not real. Do you attribute the same criteria to love? Is love just unreachable and like not a thing because if there were no humans, there would be no love?
Currently, my views on that concept of love would be more a I don't know if I'm saying the right word, a euphemism for for a feeling of euphoria towards a particular object or person.
Right. And I'm not arguing that Eros is out there somewhere with his arrows. My thinking here is that if you are going to say that anything that is intangible and would cease to exist without consciousness or humankind isn't real and shouldn't be acknowledged, then you get into really tricky territory really fast. That's
Well, I guess my original point was is that the fact that when people transfer, because I used to believe in my religious upbringing, and I found out it was a lie. Just like a bunch of other people that call you, that will agree with you and call your show on other shows, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is that what I continue to learn and take information over time. So right now, what I've reached is that in regards to different tenets or that people are transferring or thinking that can be better handled in other situations, like being a secular society and shaping morality and thinking that morality will be shaped to be more fair for people overall, just talking about human beings, and also the environment. You can throw that in there,
okay,
which includes the plants and animals.
Right.
Is I think really just it's hopeful, but very whimsically foolish. I guess I could say
I honestly, Nathan, you're talking to somebody you're talking to somebody who's an absurdist. I think that the fact that we do anything is whimsically absurd. But the fact is, we create these systems, and anytime you're creating a rule, to some degree, it is arbitrary. But we do create these lines so that we can create the society that we're in. And yes, you know what? I'm going to die, you're going to die, and at some point, no one's going to remember who we were. That doesn't mean that I don't want to go out and do something good in this world. It doesn't mean that I don't want to make the society that I live in better by the time I leave it than when I came in, because I value that. I get it, but you're also talking to somebody who doesn't give a fuck. I don't care. I don't care whether or not there's a absolute moral component that you can point to and go, here is the foundation of which, right? Which I feel like you're kind of, working around is that, yes, it's subjective. And honestly, I hope the subjective opinions of the society that comes after us 500 years later from now is going to look back at us and go, how immoral were they? They were doing bleh. And it turns out that we learned how to be more kind to each other, more ethical, more moral creatures. I just don't see why you would reject it as such, because it feels like you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Well, okay, I'll give you a present day example, just in regards to.
Okay, and then I think this is going to be the last example, but I definitely want to hear.
All right, a present day example would be a person that's ill, and they go to a hospital, and they're being treated, but they don't have the means to pay for everything they're getting treated for. But in the midst of that, a scientist or a doctor that's working on them, they take something from their body, and without their informing them of their of what they're doing, and use it and repurpose something from that person to further their own personal studies into the particular illness they may be afflicted with. That person dies. The doctor in the hospital is able to do something where they're able to repurpose that part of that person, whether it be cells and whatnot, and sell it off to other hospitals, doctors, scientists to do research on various things, and it produces things that's good for the world, such as new medicines and ways to attack that particular disease, which saves people.
Mm-hmm.
But the family was never, the person that died was never informed. The family was never compensated for that gift to society.
Absolutely. So
I would be that's another form of being uncomfortable, and that's an immoral act from a person's point of view.
I got you. That took a long time to state, so I'd like to restate it in a more, I'm hoping a more clear way, because I've got people in the live chat who kind of got lost along the way there. So are you pointing at examples of, oh God, there's Matt. Yes, hello. Sorry. Nathan, are you pointing at examples of people, what was her name? She had cancer, people stole her. Okay, you, come over here. Hold on.
Open the door?
Yep, come on in. Are you okay being in front of the camera?
Sure.
Okay. What's your name?
My name is Sunny.
Hi, Sunny. Sunny, you have helped twice now. I love it. What's her name?
Her name was Henrietta Lax. I teach this unit as to high schoolers as a part of my curriculum, and it's a unit on bioethics. She was sadly stricken with cervical cancer, and it was a very serious situation, and the doctor who was treating her took some of her cells without her permission or her family's permission and created the first immortal stem cell line. And this has been something that has created vaccines for humanity, as the caller has suggested, amazing things for science and other people. Her cells are in space, by the way. But her family was never compensated. Her family languished in poverty for a very long time. She was a woman of color. So this is kind of an example, along with things like the Tuskegee experiments, that, really make people squirm in terms of, how do we square this, ethically.
You are fucking awesome.
I just went into teacher mode
That's amazing.
over my summer break. Oh, no.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
I'll stop yelling at y'all now.
All right. So, Nathan, is that the kind of thing that you were referring to?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that it was immoral for somebody to steal from the family without asking their permission?
Of course.
Regardless of the result, you think it's, hold on. Regardless of the result, you think it's immoral to steal from somebody or steal from a family without asking permission, correct?
Yes.
Okay, we're in agreement. Cool.
Before, as far as the other example about the 14th Amendment.
So,
I personally think
actually,
it's immoral, but overall, people can.
The funny thing is, the live chat went nuts about the prison thing. I'm watching it because,
I'm sure.
Well, because the thing is I'm talking about slavery.
Right.
And while your definition, what you gave, you defined how you viewed slavery and viewing people as property, and then you contextualized it to prisons. So what you did is you said, here's how I understand it. I believe there's an analogy here, and that it is perfectly analogous to prisons. I'm sure you understand that there are a great many people who disagree with you, including myself, when it comes to talking about slavery. That, the way we treat people is different from the way we want to treat people. And that's terrible. But you're not owning those people as property, right? They're wards of the state. And all of that, just because we're doing poorly doesn't mean that that's what we're intending to do. It's just a side effect of humans being shitty. But that's kind of the best I have to say about the 14th Amendment. Yes, I saw you live chat. I agree, but that doesn't mean that Nathan was wrong. Nathan contextualized what he said and gave his definition for it. And because of that, in the context of what he had to say, we both understood what he said, and we were willing to move forward on it. So, all right. Nathan, I hope this conversation was helpful. I know that it was really fun to have.
Yeah, I think it was fun, too. I enjoyed it.
Rock on. Well, thank you for calling, brother, and hope to hear from you again.
All right, thanks. Thank
you. Hey, Sonny, Tony White just donated $50 and said, hells yes. Thank you so much. We're moving your ass to Austin. You know that, right? We're going to get you in here.